And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Strategy Show. It is Wednesday, March 12th. I am Josh Engleman, and I am here to break down a 7-game slate. And we got a track meet once again. 3 games locking at 7:30, 4 games locking at 8 o'clock, and then we are done. That is it. Quick. Half hour, and all of a sudden, everything is locked. We do have 2 late games on the FanDuel side, but for today, it's 7 up and 7 down, folks. We got a lot to talk about coming off of yesterday's simple 4-gamer. Hope you had whatever pieces mattered most. I went out to dinner last night, so I bagged the slate because we didn't have playback. I know Zion was great, Harden was great, Garland was great. Giannis, a little bit of a letdown. That's for sure. Great one out of Siakam again. Kawhi has been outstanding. Zubats. I feel like we had a pretty good line on yesterday. Much more out of TJ. I didn't expect the TJ McConnell 5 stocks game yesterday. Brook Lopez was really good. I didn't think he'd have 23 points without a couple more threes, but he did. I don't know. Fun slate. I did want to play it pretty bad, but I wanted birria for dinner more. So I got that instead. What's up, y'all? It's good to have everybody here. Yeah, nice game winner from Halliburton. That was wild. I don't know how you let Tyrese Halliburton run free on that inbounds play. But, you know, why even have somebody guard the ball? I don't know. So, great work there, Milwaukee. Oh, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So what's up, y'all? Hit that like button if you're here. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow me on Twitter, @Josh Engleman. Don't forget, you could always sign up at Stokastic to get either our DFS package, which would be projections and ownership and sims and Discord and all that advanced data you could be looking for. You can get that for free by signing up through one of the partners that are on the screen, or you could sign up for OddsShopper and the Portfolio EV tool. If you want to take a market-based approach to beating pick'em sites and sportsbooks, you could do that. You sign up through one of our partners, make their deposit. You know, you could be depositing $25, get a $25 deposit bonus, and get a month of our stuff. Won't cost you anything on our side. And you can do this multiple times. If you've never signed up at a pick'em site before, and they are available to you, you could sign up and make a qualified deposit at every single one of those pick'em sites and get a free month from us for each one of them. So I think it's a pretty good deal. I don't know why you wouldn't want to take advantage of it. The betting tools are exceptional. The sim tools are exceptional. You see the constant Stokastic logos. You see the OddsShopper screenshots, or if you don't, make sure you're following OddsShopper. It's a great time to be in the Stokastic OddsShopper universe, everybody. So if you want to stay longer, this is a great way to do it. Mitchell, you also had some birria? I like it. I like it. Mine was good. I actually still have one left. So I'm going to pop that bad boy in the air fryer for a couple minutes around lunchtime. It's going to be delish. I need to start making them on my own. I don't know why I haven't. It's like the perfect thing for me. It's obviously very easy to just make a lot of slow cooked meat and have it. Very easy to then, you know, get your little birria consomme and dunk your stuff. You can make that all week. So easy to just toss a little meat and cheese in a tortilla, fry that bad boy up, and you got lunch. So, yeah, that's going to be a project for this weekend. The project for today, though, is breaking down this slate. I think it's about that time that we do it. I'm a billionaire bacon guy. I don't know what billionaire bacon is. Let me Google that. Billionaire bacon. Hold on. The billionaire bacon recipe via Snoop. So this had to come. Snoop as a cookbook? Man, him hanging out with Martha Stewart's wild. Okay, so What do we got going on here? Bacon, brown sugar, chili pepper, and black pepper. Okay, so like spicy candied bacon. Wow, there are more people knowing what this is than I would have expected. Okay, so it's from crook to cook. Amazing, man. Snoop. Yo, can you imagine sending that to Snoop in like 1991? You roll up to Inglewood. You find Calvin Brodus out there getting ready to drop all of his classics. It's about to pop off, and you're like, hey, Calvin, want to have a conversation quick? I know the future. And I just want to show you that in 2018 or whenever this book came out, you make a cookbook called From Crook to Cook. He would look at that and not understand anything that's going on. You'd start explaining his life. He's like, oh, you know Martha Stewart? And you'd be like, no. You'd be like, well, guess what? Oh, man. That's funny. I didn't know it was called Billionaire Bacon, but I definitely didn't know that Snoop had a recipe for it. I didn't see that one coming at all. All right, let's talk basketball because it can't get any weirder than that. Charlotte Hornets, 8.5-point dogs in Atlanta. 233 total. This is the third highest total and the second highest pace for today. Both of these teams are getting a little bit of ownership. As of right now, the Raptors and the Grizzlies are the most owned teams, but obviously that's subject to change. Both of these teams look good. You know, we're getting a massive pace up spot here for Charlotte. That's obviously going to be important here. We're talking about an Atlanta team that is second in pace. We're talking about a Charlotte team that is 24th. So really nice pace up spot for Charlotte. Kind of a weird team. Nurkic is questionable. Don't think it really matters all that much when Mark Williams is in. It appears that they're just going to be playing Nurkic and Moussa Diabate for some sort of minutes as the backup, which effectively removes Nurkic and Diabate from any sort of conversation. Salon's still with the G League team, so it's kind of just the same Charlotte team we've been getting. I do want to talk through one minor note. No one else is going to say this kind of stuff on a show, and I don't even think it's all that actionable, but it's probably worth saying. Malachi Flynn played 19 minutes on the 8th. He played 15 minutes on the 10th. Damian Bow did not play on the 10th. Now, he's on his two-way. But if we look at Malachi Flynn, he signed a 10-day with the Hornets on March 1st, excuse me. So this 10-day is done. Technically speaking, Malachi Flynn is not under contract yet. Now, it's certainly possible that they run him back on another 10-day. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But I put Damian Bow back in. I took Malachi Flynn out. I don't think either of those things matter. I think there's only 4 guys that you could look at for Charlotte. It's Bridges, Ball, Mark Williams, and then assuming Daquan Jeffries starts again, it's Daquan Jeffries. Nick Smith came off the bench last time out. Jeffries got the start. So with that assumption, those are the only 4 guys that I think are reasonable to get to for Charlotte. They're the only guys that have any sort of boom rating that's relevant. And I would call relevant like 15% or higher. That's the sort of thing that I feel like maybe I don't talk about enough during the show, is the guys that you can play but are like not worth a conversation. Where, you know, they have this 15% chance of hitting their target score. They're not really pulling much ownership, but they play 30 minutes. They're a decent enough per minute guy. Those guys are always in play. And we'll get questions about everybody every day. But it's hard to talk about everyone. And like when I get to an example, actually, like Miles Bridges on FanDuel would be a really good example. He's 8,900, 6% optimal, 18% boom, 6% owned. Every team has 3 of these dudes every single night, basically. But like, it's hard to be like, oh, I really like Miles Bridges. Yeah, if you want to go to him as a contrarian option, that's totally fine. He can be a good play. He's just not going to be as cost effective as other plays. Boom is more of a sign of like how good you look for the day. Optimal is going to look a little bit more at like how cost effective is your performance. And it's really an interesting balance between the two. So for Charlotte, we're getting 3 guys in the top 14. That's Bridges, Ball, and Williams. Bridges has been playing, bigger minutes as of late. Been scoring a lot more, or at least it feels like he's scoring a lot more. And he's been playing a little bit better over this past month or so. He is 20% owned, 20% optimal, 24% chance of 53 fantasy points. Huh. I wonder, would that look better? Let me try something here. Just want to see what this looks like. If I take this, take that boom rate, humor me for a second, guys. I'm hoping that I can make this look a little bit more intuitive. Okay. Making progress. I think this is going to look better and be a little bit more intuitive for you guys, but I want you guys to tell me. No, that's right. Where's my extra one? Ah, there it is. Got it. Oh, that's going to be perfect. That is perfect. 24% chance. Can I put chance in there? Okay, that's just going to be too big, but I'm going to change that up so that it'll like be a little bit more intuitive here of like 24% chance of 53 fantasy points. I like that. I like that. I'm going to change that later today. Anyway, I know you guys don't care. I could just say it out loud. That's better for the podcast people anyway. But Bridges looks great. I'm not surprised to see him be 20% owned. He should be 20% owned. I think LaMelo looks good. And that's obviously scary because he's been pretty weird lately. 9,600 point guard only. Gets real minutes when the games are competitive. 20% optimal, 16% owned, ranks 11th. So I'm more than happy to get to LaMelo. I think you can get to Mark Williams, and I would argue Mark Williams at 7,400 is a little underrepresented. Trey, I will do that, but I got to change references. It's easy to test it and make sure it looks good. It's not going to look great right now. Mark Williams, 21% optimal, 13% owned, ranking 10th. Interesting battle between him and Okongwu. I don't know Okongwu's price yet, but looking at those two guys versus each other will be a little interesting. We're talking about 3 guys, 10th, 11th, 14th, and I think all of them deserve about 20% ownership. I think those 3 guys look really good for Charlotte, and I don't really think there's anything that's going to make it look worse. Like I don't think there's any news or anything other than those guys being out. I think those guys are going to be 15 to 25% owned all day and look pretty good. And then you get to Daquan Jeffries, 3,600, small forward, power forward eligible. Pretty bad per minute, dude. Got him in for 0.65 right now. Still a 5.4x guy. 6% optimal, 7% owned, 19% chance of 28 fantasy points. I mean, for value guys like this, you're looking for 30. It's not a likely scenario, but if he's starting and he can get 28 to 32 minutes, the value will make up for it. But that's what we have for Charlotte right now. Again, if I'm ranking Charlotte, it's probably, man, I don't even think I can rank them. Because, like, I think Mark Williams looks the best, but you have to mentally discount center a little bit because of the positional restrictions. And then between Bridges and Ball, it's tricky. I honestly think it's 1A, 1B, 1C, and then Jeffries is 4th. Do we have anything on Charlotte on OddsShopper right now? God, I love this tool so much. If you guys haven't tried, here's a question for you. For anybody that's here, be honest with me. If you have the ability to be on pick'em sites or sports books and haven't used OddsShopper, 1, do you use pick'em sites and sports books? 2, why haven't you used OddsShopper and Portfolio EV? I'm curious what would stop people. Miles, that's where I'm going with this. Miles Westfield says, OddsShopper changed my life. Yeah, I'm not I believe that. I think that's a real thing. And I'm curious what would stop anybody, what would be someone's holdup here? As much as I understand. Okay, so Trey says, as much as I play DFS, I don't understand betting all that much. Trey, is it legal for you? Do you have the ability, or do you have legal sports books or pick'em sites? If you're in Florida, I get it. Otherwise, I'm curious. The good thing with Portfolio EV and OddsShopper, in particular, for what you see on the screen, is you don't really have to understand it. Basically, we have all of the data that we could possibly have from all the other sports books, all of our historical data, and we've built a model to be able to shop around lines, create our own best line, compare that to the rest of the sports books, and point out where the value is. So for Trey, for someone like you, there's not much to understand. And we have tutorial videos for understanding OddsShopper and Portfolio EV, but it's as simple as basically just seeing that a bet showed up. You know, if you want to give it a quick thought process of, is there anything here that doesn't make any sense to me? Once you pass that, you just place it. Think about something like Greg. Greg placed 400 bets on Saturday. It's not about just hitting this one 10-leg parlay and paying it all off like a GPP. It's adding together hundreds and hundreds of tiny edges to lower your variance considerably and slowly grow your bankroll. This is tortoise, not the hare type situation. So Izzy says it's probably the price for some people, but the tool will pay for itself. So that's the thing. 7-day free trial at any time for anybody that's ever used it. That link is always in the description of these videos. And if you if you haven't signed up at that sportsbook yet, let's just say the minimum deposit at Sportsbook X, because I don't know them off the top of my head. I don't want to say something that people don't understand. Let's say it's $25. You might get a $25 deposit, bonus bets because of that deposit, and a month of Portfolio EV for no cost at all to us. You can try out Portfolio EV for a full month by signing up at a sportsbook and never pay us a cent. So, yes, if you're going to be there long term, yeah, there's going to be a price tag attached to it. But at that point in time, I think you're going to see that you've become a successful sports bettor. I know this is a DFS show, and I know we're talking about this a lot on the DFS side of it, but I really think people are missing out here. And I'm just kind of curious why people wouldn't be signing up immediately. The Stunner, no, totally fine on websites, mobile. We've got a mobile app. You'll get mobile notifications anytime any of your bets in your portfolio show up. Let's say this Mark Williams play at the top of the screen just showed up as available, and you have a portfolio set up to get an alert. You'll get a pop-up on your phone that says there's a bet available on whatever portfolio you have. You can click that pop-up, immediately go check out the information, click bet, and you're in the app. So Porzingis, that's an interesting comment there. He says, I don't think I've joined enough sports books yet for it to make sense financially, but I am on some. That's exactly why you should be signing up for OddsShopper. Because if you haven't joined those sports books yet, maybe take out whatever you need for let's say you have $100 in a sports book and you haven't signed up at, let's just say BetMGM for right now. take 50 out of the sports book that you're at, sign up through the BetMGM link that we have, deposit that into BetMGM. Now you haven't spent a cent. You've just moved $50 from one sports book to another, and you just got OddsShopper for free for a month. And probably bonus bets or deposit bonus or something from BetMGM. Trey, there's a 7-day free trial link in the description of this video right now. There might even be one in chat. I'm going to drop it into chat quickly. So give me 1 second to pull that up. We got plenty of time today. I got nowhere to be. We don't need to show me browsing YouTube. Well, let me get you that link, Trey. To me, no brainer. You can try. Trey, have you ever signed up at OddsShopper at all? As long as you haven't done that, you're going to be fine. Awesome, man. And if you have any questions, let us know. We've got information on our YouTube channel for you if that will help you. We've got premium Discord as well if you ever need to ask any questions. It is really hard to grab this while I'm doing this, but we got it. All right, here we go. Perfect. For anybody that wants it, this is a 7-day free trial. Why am I not able to copy and paste right now? All right, maybe I have to do this manually? There we go. Let me make sure that link takes... All right, perfect. Yeah. You'll find the link in that link that I sent there, but 7 days free. Just follow the instructions on the page. But yeah, come on in. But yeah, Porzingis, that would be my recommendation. If you have sports books that you haven't signed up for yet, but you are on a different sports book, you're really putting yourself behind the 8 ball by not trying it out. Because you don't have to, like, you could hate it. Maybe you hate it. I'm okay with that. Not everybody's going to like everything that they're using. I think you're going to like it, but maybe you'll hate it. If you hate it, you haven't paid us anything. At the end of 30 days, you can cancel it anytime during that 30 days. It won't renew at that point. You'll have it for the full 30, but you can just sign up at that point. Come on in. I think you guys are going to like it. If you haven't looked at Greg Ehrenberg's bankroll challenge yet, please do that. Go to Greg's Twitter and look at it. If you haven't heard of it yet, please just do that right now. He posts a new thread every day, every single bet that he places for the NBA side. He started with $100 on the first day of the NBA season. He's well over 1,000 now. He crossed $1,000 in 100 days. He turned 100 into 1,000 in 100 days. More than 1,000. Now let's remember, you could do the exact same thing that Greg did, and it wouldn't have cost you anything. Remember what I just said. He started with $100. You could do that same thing. 100 days. Let's just say it's 3 months. We'll give or take it and call it 90, just to be $100 to $950 in 90 days, if that's what you want it to be. You could have signed up at the same time Greg did at 3 separate sports books, made your deposits, got 3 months of Portfolio EV, mirrored everything he did, and had north of $1,000 at this point. You wouldn't have had to pay us anything. You could have signed up at each one of those sports books if you hadn't before and gotten a free month at each one of them and used OddsShopper. So check it out, guys. That's my sales pitch for today. I had to get into it. Let's go to Atlanta. I'll try not to sell anything more for you guys on the Portfolio EV side for the rest of this one, other than if we have any specific bets. Let's talk Atlanta. Tough to talk about right now. Trae Young questionable. Karis LeVert questionable. Clearly those things matter. Justin Sports, will Greg do the same for MLB? I'll be honest, Justin Sports, I don't know. It's possible that he does some sort of different, like, betting challenge. I'm guessing Greg's going to do something, What that is, I don't know. So, look, if Trey plays, he's 10K, he's 10% owned. I would argue that LaMelo looks better on the opposite side, but Trey still looks good. It's because Charlotte stinks. Like, everything sort of looks good for Atlanta. Karis LeVert could be interesting. The return of Vit Krejci complicates matters. I don't know what they're going to do in their rotation, but if everybody's in, it kind of takes a bite out of LeVert, Niang, Reese. I mean, at this point, I think they, like, do you sit Mo Gay? We got Terrence Mann here now. These guys are kind of deep. So we need the answer to these Q tags. What I want to talk about is $7,100 Onyeka Okongwu. You guys want, everybody that's in here is pretty much here every morning. How long have I been talking about how Onyeka Okongwu's price is going to be north of 7K and you got to take him when he's in the low 6Ks? 2 weeks? 3 weeks? He's 7,100 now. Every day that I told you he was a good value, every day that I told you his price was going to go up, here it is. And he's still 25% owned at 7,100 today. Really interesting dynamic between him and Mark Williams. You expect more minutes out of Onyeka Okongwu. You expect slightly better per minute performance out of Mark Williams. I think they both look great. I think Mark Williams is under-owned. I think Onyeka Okongwu is a better play. I like both of them a lot. They're two top 15 dudes today. Big priorities on both sides. Mike V, you couldn't be more wrong, but thanks for being here to let me tell everybody that you are wrong. But appreciate you there. Team Cheek Out. Josh, I just wanted to send a thank you to one of the administrators in Discord. They literally worked with me for over an hour to help me figure out the late swap errors while using my MacBook. That's what we're here for, man. You drop your questions and stuff in Discord. We've got support channels for you if you need it. So it's hard to dig in too much to Atlanta because obviously the status of Trae Young and Karis LeVert could really change things. Like if Trae Young ends up out, we're probably playing some Keaton Wallace. If Trae Young ends up in, it's probably Onyeka Okongwu as the only main priority from the Hawks. But this will be a news thing. Trae Young, look, you can see from the booms, though, there's a lot of playable on the Hawks. Trae Young north of 20, Dyson Daniels north of 20, Mo Gay north of 20, Okongwu, obviously, Niang knocking on the door, LeVert and Reese and Capella are all in that 10 to 15 range. A lot of things are clickable and playable for Atlanta. What those things specifically end up being will be determined by the status of Trae Young and Karis LeVert. See if we have any Hawks bets. Okay, 4 OddsShopper rating on Trae Young under 11.5 assists. 3 OddsShopper rating on Trae Young under 27.5 points. You can see both of these have quality historical ROIs. We have large-scale samples of points props on DraftKings. That's what I could show you guys. So we have this PRA on Trae. 2.7. Actually, let's look at the points prop. 10.7% historical ROI on DraftKings. If I hit that drop down and look at the historical results, we have recommended about 18,000 points props on DraftKings so far this season. In those 18,000 points props, if you just bet all of them when they were recommended, 10.7% historical ROI. You just got a monster Onyeka Okongwu under 13.5 rebounds and assists on BetMGM. Interesting. Where's the penny line? No penny line. Curious. All right, let's go to game number 2. OKC and Boston. Man, I wish this could have been a full-strength matchup, finals type preview, but unfortunately, that is not what we're going to get. Jalen Williams is out for this one from OKC, strained right hip. They are obviously going to be incredibly cautious with him. Give him a week or two. Doesn't really matter on the Thunder side. Just get him right. That's all that matters. But unfortunately, this is a terrible pace matchup for the Thunder. They're 4-point dogs, 228 total. Clearly, Boston's defense is good. The only guy that's getting any ownership love is Shea. 11-4, point guard only, 13% owned. Clearly going to look a little bit better with no Jalen Williams out there. Happy to pay up at 11-4 for Shea. This is a slate where we don't have Nikola Jokic. We don't have Giannis Antetokounmpo. Obviously, Victor Wembanyama not around. So Shea is a premier pay-up option. He's a 1.5 fantasy point per minute guy. But I don't think he's going to look exceptional in this matchup. After that, you get a giant sea of absolutely no ownership. 2% to Chet, 2% to Isaiah Hartenstein. Now, I think Chet, Hartenstein, both totally reasonable plays. Chet in particular with that power forward eligibility. But the pace of this game is a real issue. And and the defense. And it's causing problems here. Boston is 27th in pace. OKC is 5th. They lose 3.5 possessions below their average in this spot. And they're in one of the more difficult spots in the league. I mean, Boston on the season, 6th in defensive rating. Let's just call them top 10, depending on who's in and out. As I see this one, it's kind of Shea. And then if you're a 20-plus lineup person, you're probably getting to like random shares of some OKC. Starting lineup could matter for sure. But as I look at this one, it's kind of just Shea, and I probably won't have much else. Stray shares of Dort, Chet, Hartenstein, and maybe Cason Wallace if he's the starter. Maybe Aaron Wiggins if he's the starter. But we are going to need to know who the 5 starters are for Boston or for OKC today. But yeah, the big takeaway here: no good Jalen Williams. Crispy, what's up? Also, no OKC props on Portfolio EV right now. Missing out on a couple there. Now, Boston is going to be just like Atlanta. Impossible to talk about. Jason Tatum, questionable. Kristaps Porzingis is questionable. Clearly, we need that information. Jaylen Brown's probable. Porzingis working his way back from some sort of virus, as Steven Leibowitz mentioned. Tatum, I think they're just, listing him so that they can rest him in situational spots. My assumption is Tatum plays. Porzingis, your guess is as good as mine. There's no ownership coming into Boston. Chet's healthy. Isaiah Hartenstein's healthy. These are 2 of the top 5 defenses in the league. Boston's not exactly getting a pace up spot. It's kind of neutral. If Tatum is in, he looks the best, but he's 10-7. He's small forward, power forward eligible. He's 10K, 10% optimal. There's not a priority from Boston. You play any one of Tatum, Brown, Holiday, White, Porzingis, cool. I get it in large field contests. If Tatum and Porzingis end up out, then we go to Jaylen Brown, we go to Derek White, we go to Peyton Pritchard. I think we're pretty used to what we need to do for Boston when they have guys in and out. They're not super weird other than with center minutes. Do I want to watch this game? You better believe it. And that's why I hope that Tatum and Porzingis can play today. But as far as a DFS game, it's 20% ownership to OKC. It's 15% ownership to Boston. This is the lowest owned game on the slate, and it is not close. Not even remotely close. There is just no ownership here at all. Actually, let me add that up so I have it. I don't know why I haven't done that before. Perfect. Yeah, lowest owned game. We got a total ownership from Boston and OKC at 35%. The next lowest game is 70. If you add up both of these teams, only the Miami Heat have less ownership as an individual team. Yeah, Jonathan, that's the weird thing. He said Horford's been playing great. I like him if Porzingis sits. Yeah, that's the interesting thing. Like, if Porzingis is in, you don't play Al Horford at all. If Porzingis is out, then Al Horford plays 30 minutes and you can play him. So, like, it's hard to talk about those sort of hypotheticals. Let's go to Philly. Philadelphia 76ers, 3.5-point underdogs in Toronto. 219.5 total. Sixers are unowned. Toronto is your most owned team. Now, for Philly, no Tyrese Halliburton. Sorry, yeah, no Tyrese Maxey. Wrong Tyrese. I wish it was Sweet Lady Tyrese. That would be a lot cooler. Although it's probably really weird to most people for me to reference Tyrese, the R&B singer from the 90s, and not Tyrese, the like Fast and the Furious actor. Oh, Nightbot just dropped the 7-day free trial Portfolio EV link into chat. So if you're in chat and you missed my link before, the most recent link from Nightbot is the 7-day free trial to Portfolio EV. Kelly Oubre is questionable today. Andre Drummond is questionable today. We have no idea how many minutes Kelly Oubre is going to play. I will say that his player props for points make it seem like he's going to play the normal minutes. Your mileage may vary on what you think Nick Nurse is going to do. Drummond probably plays around 24 minutes. You know, maybe he plays alongside of these bigs a little bit more. They've got Alex Reese playing now. Adam Bona plays a little bit. There's no ownership here. I think 5K Yabu is probably your best option. 11% optimal, 22% boom, 8% ownership. Drummond gets a really interesting boom score if you want to go that direction. You know, he's always live for a monster double-double. Today doesn't feel like that day given the way Toronto's been playing. Lonnie Walker could be sneaky at 4,300. That dude couldn't buy a bucket last time out as chalk. And then we got to talk about Quentin Grimes. So he's 7,600 point guard, shooting guard eligible. I can't imagine playing him. Now, maybe if Oubre and Drummond are out, he looks a little bit better. He's 2% owned. He's 3% optimal. He's way too expensive for who he really is, at least to me. 15% boom means, yeah, you can get there in large field stuff. Maybe he can be in a lineup of a 20 max. Maybe he can be in some lineups in 150. I can't imagine playing him in single entry. And there's just going to be a time where, like, I don't think he's going to get those minutes anymore. So I trust nothing here for Philly. Absolutely nothing. But if Oubre and Drummond are out, we will create more value because then we'll have to start having conversations about Lonnie Walker, Jeff Doughton, Jared Butler, Justin Edwards. DFS PhD. Yeah, we'll get there. They've been playing double bigs a lot. So we need to keep an eye on the Philly news. 24% of their fantasy points are questionable right now. That can create some additional value. But if Oubre and Drummond play, I think it's really difficult to trust anything from Philadelphia from a minutes perspective. We don't know what they're doing. Mitchell, the real problem is the Pistons not keeping him because they swapped him out for Tim Hardaway Jr. How much better would the Pistons look with Quentin Grimes than Tim Hardaway Jr. right now? I like that fit a lot more. And quite confident that you would rather have Quentin Grimes than Tim Hardaway at this point. Quentin Grimes is 8 years younger and better right now. So that's what I'm looking for. I think the Pistons made the biggest mistake here. Obviously, the Mavs did, but we're well aware they're morons. So if they can't recognize that they should keep Luka Doncic, I don't expect them to keep Quentin Grimes. Let's see if we have any Sixers bets. I'm guessing that's probably a little tough. Yeah, we don't got anything for Sixers. 4 OddsShopper rating on Yabu, but I'd be nervous to take that before the news comes in. No Troit this morning. Clanton, no slander on the Pistons. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the exact opposite. I wish they would have kept the better basketball player that's younger and fits their everything they need. I like the Pistons, sort of. Like, I don't think they're good, but it helps that Cade has become Cade finally. They need a lot of help. They need a lot of help. I honestly think they got too good too quick. What they really need is Asar Thompson to become Amen Thompson. Got to get Zion this summer. I don't think that's happening, brother. Zion's not leaving the Pels. They already handled their business. They got rid of Brandon Ingram. Also, Zion ain't going to Detroit, brother. Sorry. Only way you'd be able to get Zion to Detroit is if Zion had gone to Oklahoma State. Is that where Cade went? OK State? Oklahoma State, right? Trey, Oklahoma. Cade, OK State? Yeah, I think I'm right. All right. Let's look at Toronto. This is the #1 owned team on the slate, and it is because they be missing dudes. So, Scotty Barnes is questionable. Jamison Battle is questionable. Akbaji is doubtful. Barrett out. Dick out. Mobo out. Quickly out. Jacoby Walter out. They don't have bodies. As best I can tell, they have 10 dudes, including the 2 Q tags. I had to project Garrett Temple and Chris Boucher in. Chris Boucher has been full stop out of the rotation, even shorthanded. And I had to give it minutes. Now, maybe I don't. Maybe I'm wrong to start the day. And this is going to look even crazier by the time we get there, especially if we lose one of Barnes or Battle. But I'm pretty sure Toronto only has 10 dudes today. Let's check their contract status just in case. Because if they do have 10 dudes, this starts to get real squirrely in Toronto if we lose one. Because Garrett Temple doesn't play. He's like the vice president of the Players Association. He just hangs out and makes a paycheck. And they hate Chris Boucher. I don't know why. I don't know what the hell this dude does. He's been in Toronto for a long time now. It's pretty clear they can't stand him. So, yeah, I'm not missing anybody. All of these, everybody that I have listed here is in my player pool. So yeah, they have 10 dudes today with 2 Q tags. So we are getting 55% ownership to Jamal Shed. Now, I think that number is going to come down. I think I have his minutes over projected for right now, but remember, we got a lot of them going around. Jamal Shed is probably the #1 play of the day at 4,400. Because remember, no Jacoby Walter, no RJ Barrett, no Grady Dick, no Emmanuel Quickly. Davion Mitchell's not here anymore. Shed's going to get big minutes. I think he's probably the best play of the day. AJ Lawson, 50% owned, shooting guard, 4K. Went crazy recently. Got him in for 30 plus. Ranks 4th. Probably your second best play of the day in terms of value and ease. Getting him at shooting guard. 6.9x his salary for Shed. 6.7 for AJ Lawson. 6.6 for $3,300 Jared Roden. He's 25% owned. Scotty Barnes is 10% owned at 8,700. I think you can get there if he plays, but holy hell, that's going to look scary. Only have him in for 29.5 minutes. So that's what I want people to remember. Because we're going to get a ton of people, just like we did last time out, talking about how you can't play Toronto because they're tanking. You can. You just have to project them correctly. If you are planning for him to play 29.5 minutes, then you have to take the projections and the data as it comes out. So I think Barnes is interesting if he's in. And then we get to their center rotations. So they've been going double bigs. On the 8th, they played Colin Castleton 26 minutes. Colin Castleton's the center. Orlando Robinson played 24 minutes. He's 7 feet tall. Jakob Poeltl played 24 minutes. He's 7 feet tall. They played 3 legitimate centers, essentially 24 minutes apiece. And that's not the first time they did it. They seem to be willing to overlap these guys. And today with 10 guys, they don't have a choice. And it could be 9, it could be 8. So there's a lot of playing time to go around here. There could be more playing time to go around. And they've been playing weird double bigs. Travis Haynes, I'm going to just assume that you can't see the screen, but it is on the screen. I've got Jakob Poeltl in for 26 minutes. He played 24, 24, and 26 in his last 3. Seems mildly limited at this point. But this is your best team of the day, and it's not close. And it might look even better by the time we get to lock. Shed, A+. Lawson, A+. Jared Roden, B+. Jakob Poeltl, mildly interesting. Scotty Barnes, mildly interesting. maybe someone else here. Like, let's say Scotty Barnes is out. We might be able to play Jamison Battle. I had to give Chris Boucher 14 minutes. He hasn't played in ages. Chris Boucher hasn't played in 6 straight games. He dropped 42 fantasy points on February 23rd. Then he got 14 minutes, 19 minutes, and they told him to fuck off. So, Chris Boucher could play anywhere from 0 to 25 minutes today, depending on how this breaks. If Scotty Barnes ends up out, I think we're going to be playing a shit ton of a chalky Chris Boucher. Buckle up for that, because he's going to be unowned all day until we get that Barnes news. Let's see if we have any Raptors bets. I'm guessing we are going to struggle to get those. Come on. KP, any promo codes for OddsShopper? What are you trying to do, brother? Riddle me this. Are you signed up at all of the pick'em sites and sportsbooks yet? Because if you haven't signed up at one of those sportsbooks or pick'em sites that you're eligible for, that's what you should do. 2 OddsShopper rating over 7.5 assists on Jamal. Oh, it's gone. Let's get back to the Raps here. I have it on auto refresh, so I lost my filter quickly. 2 OddsShopper rating over 7.5 assists for Jamal Shed. So you get an over. Negative 9% historical ROI on overs on FanDuel. So I would actually leave that one alone. Let's go to game 4. Phoenix Suns, 4.5-point dogs in Houston, 229 total. Tough defensive matchup. Pace down spot. And we need to pay attention to the one big thing on the Houston side. It's not just Toronto that's been running double bigs lately. Now, maybe that changes with Van Vliet back, but it's something we're going to have to talk about. There is no ownership coming into Phoenix. There's no injury news that we're worried about from Phoenix. And there's nobody that's interesting from Phoenix. Here are the ownership numbers on the Phoenix Suns right now. 6457267. I feel like I'm reading off a cell phone number. The highest ranked guy is Royce O'Neal at 21st. 3,700 small forward, power forward eligible. A value guy at 9 o'clock in the morning. Kevin Durant and Devin Booker are playing 38 or 39 minutes a night. They look uninteresting at best. You know, random pay up pivot contrarian options in a GPP. I don't like I don't like Phoenix really at all. 43% optimal is pedestrian. 142% total boom is just mid-pack. Can you get Durant or Booker or Beal or O'Neal? Can you get Nick Richards if you want, or Mason Plumlee as a value center? Sure. But every one of these guys I'm mentioning is like a 5% guy. You want to have one of Durant, Booker, Beal, O'Neal, Allen, Richards, and Plumlee in random lineups in like the $1.20 max? I can understand having a share of everyone. I don't really understand having much more of any of these guys. Do you guys have any interest in the Suns? They're just so unappealing. I mean, Bol is useless again. He barely plays now. They finally understood that Bol isn't good. They've started to limit him a little bit more. No surprise. That was always going to happen. We don't have any Suns bets out there right now. But I don't know. This is not the spot to me. Houston, a little bit better. This is where it gets a little dicey. So, Amin Thompson's still out with the ankle sprain. Reed Shepherd's still out with the broken thumb. Fred VanVleet is back. Not pulling any ownership at this moment. We're getting 20% ownership to Alperen Şengün at 9,700. He's been playing bigger minutes as of late. Add him to that list with Mark Williams. Add him to that list with Onyeka Okongwu as just another really good center option today. Happy to get there. Tari Eason, 5,900, playing 26 to 30 minutes, over a fantasy point per minute, 5.1x salary, 14% optimal, 25% boom. I think Tari Eason and Şengün are your two primaries. I think Jalen Green looks solid. I think Dylan Brooks looks solid. But we need to talk a little bit about their rotations as of late. I just want to put this in people's minds so they're aware that it's been happening. Last game, we got 38 minutes out of Alperen Şengün. We got 23 minutes out of Steven Adams. Just for anybody that needs the math on that one, that's 61 minutes between those two guys. That's 13 minutes of overlap. Previous game, 32 minutes from Şengün, 18 minutes from Steven Adams. That's still 2 minutes of overlap. 19 and 36. Is that an overtime game? 15 and 35. These guys are playing a little bit of time alongside of each other. Now, I don't think that it does kind of make Steven Adams more interesting at 3,400 as a backup, because if Şengün gets into any foul trouble, we are aware that Steven Adams can get upwards of 24 minutes if need be. So I kind of like him as a pay-down contrarian value backup center. He could also play 14 minutes. Şengün plays 34, and they never do this again. There's a lot to like here for Houston. Phoenix's defense isn't any good. We've got 5 guys that have a boom percentage north of 20. I want to get a lot of pieces of Houston. I think they might even be a little... they're not underrepresented. They're properly owned. But they're honestly... they feel a little sneakier to me than it seems. If I'm ranking Houston, it would be Tari Eason 1, Şengün 2, Dylan Brooks 3, Jalen Green 4. Yeah, Houston going back to the Twin Towers. We got Olajuwon and Ralph Sampson here today. Or we've got Alperen Şengün and Steven Adams. Slightly different vibe. Let's see if we have any Rockets bets, because that actually could be a good spot. We got 3 more games to go here. Hit that like button if you haven't done it yet. Let's go to Utah and Memphis. 247 total. Jazz are 12.5-point dogs. Highest total by 14 points. No, sorry, highest total by 10 points. Highest paced game as well. Memphis is the second most owned team on today's slate. Utah is the same sort of problem we always get. Very difficult to talk about. Jordan Clarkson's questionable. Lauri Markkanen's questionable. Keontae George is doubtful. We're getting 25% ownership to a $6,600 John Collins. He looks like the clear best option from the Jazz. When he's in, he plays real minutes. He's got the power forward eligibility. He ranks 8th. 25 to 30% ownership on Collins makes a ton of sense. And if you get Markkanen and Clarkson out, he probably looks even better. So I think John Collins is a legitimate priority today. I like taking flyers on Walker Kessler if he's available as an unowned center pivot. I think Lauri Markkanen is worth a flyer if he happens to play. He never really does, but he's unowned. And then Jordan Clarkson, no idea what his minutes are going to be, kind of scares me. But we did see Colin Sexton play real minutes last time out for the first time in a pretty long time. Colin Sexton played 33 minutes in the last Jazz game. I only have him at 26 based on these Q tags, but if Colin Sexton's playing 30 at 5,600, he is going to be a big time priority for the Utah Jazz. So we need the answer to the Q tags here. But John Collins, Q tag or no Q tag on Markkanen and Clarkson, is an actual priority. The rest of the Jazz, we need to wait and see. Travis, I don't think we have any reason to suspect that he wouldn't play full minutes. He seems to either play or play full minutes. There doesn't seem to be much middle ground in playing time for their best dudes. You never know, though. Under 18.5 points for Lauri Markkanen has a 2 OddsShopper rating on ESPN Bet right now, if you want to grab anything from the Jazz side. Then we get to Memphis, second most owned team on the day. They're a little dinged up as well. Aldama still out. Triple J still out. Q-tag Brandon Clark. Q-tag Zach Edey. That can make the J. Huff Marvin Bagley scenario really problematic here. Now, there's no ownership really to any of these centers if those guys are both in. Like 8% to Clark, 8% to Edey. If they're both out, though, $3,900 Huff, flat 3K Marvin Bagley, We will be getting to those guys for value. What we are getting to Memphis for, though, is $3,800 shooting guard small forward Vince Williams, 37% owned, coming in second in the boom bust tool. He missed the second half of the back-to-back on the 10th, but in the previous 4 games, played 25, 25, 24, and 24 minutes. Based on the guys that are out, I think you're getting 24 minutes from Vince Williams, no matter the scenario. And I think you can get more eventually. Whether that's today or not, I don't know, but I think you can play him into more minutes. Vince Williams is going to be a high-level priority today, no matter the injury news. The position's great, the price is great, the minutes are great, the rates are great. Everything is on Vince Williams' side. Probably the easiest value play to click on given his position and price. I will have a ton. Desmond Bane is playing 35, 36 minutes a night, 8,300, shooting guard only. No Triple J increases the usage. Ranks 6th, 40% owned, 35% optimal. One of your best plays of the day. High-level payout. I like Morant at 15% owned. 16th in the boom bust tool, 9,300, point guard only. Spot on for ownership. 15 to 20 range looks great. Should carve up Utah. Total's great. Pace is great. So it's Vince Williams, Desmond Bane, Ja Morant. 3 major options for Memphis. Depending on the injury status of Brandon Clark and Zach Edey, that will let us know what we can do with Gigi Jackson, Jay Huff, Marvin Bagley. So we need the news. News or no news, Vince Williams, Bane, Ja Morant, doesn't matter. Vince Williams in particular, the premier value of the day. See if we have anything from Memphis. Nope, nothing. Everything's under 1. 2 to go. Clippers. Back-to-back 3-point dogs in Miami. 209 total. This total is 38 points lower than Utah and Memphis. 92.5 possessions. 9 possessions lower than Utah and Memphis. But we are getting some ownership to the Clippers. Now, we don't have their injury report technically. Kawhi Leonard does not play back-to-backs, so we can assume that he's not playing. We don't know the status of Drew Eubanks. We don't know if anybody else will sit the back-to-back either. Not out of the realm that you get a Nick Batum out or something. So we want to pay attention to the Clippers there. What we're getting are the two of the couple best plays from yesterday are also some of the best plays today. $10,200 James Harden. Man, I'll tell you what. Look, this is going to sound like I'm shitting on James Harden, and I don't want it to sound that way. Because he's still really good. Like, good to great-ish. He's not what he used to be. But for James Harden to be $10,200 now, as a guy that has 57% true shooting, a 34% 3-point percentage, he can't get to the rim anymore. He can't make shots at the rim anymore. He's just getting there with volume. I mean, he's been plus 1.9 offensive EPM. He's still really good, but we're talking about a guy that used to be like plus 3, plus 4, plus 5, plus 8. So 10-2 just feels weird, but the volume is there, especially with no Kawhi, especially with no Norm Powell. 20% optimal, 16% boom. I would argue that James Harden is a hair under-owned, even at 10,200. Then we get another center. Center is really hard today. 8,400 for Zoo. 20% optimal, 20% owned, ranks 13th. So that's Mark Williams, Onyeka Okongwu, the OKC guys. We don't know what's happening with Boston. Value centers for Philly. Alper and Şengün. You want to get weird with Steven Adams. You have the ability to put John Collins there. Center's really weird for Memphis. Clippers have Zoo. We're about to talk about Bam Adebayo. James Harden is shooting a lot of floaters, Josh. What do you mean? What do you mean? What do I mean? I agree that he shoots more floaters. But No, if he was getting to the rim, he would be shooting layups. Getting to the rim is not floaters. Those are two different shots. I mean, here. Can I? Here are James Harden's rim frequency over the past few years. 72 in 21-22. 59, 59th percentile in 22-23. 34th percentile last year. 25th percentile in rim field goals. We could have this conversation, but I'm going to be right when it's over. You want to see it in an even better way? Here are James Harden's rim field goal attempts per 100 possessions for his career. Seems like James Harden is getting to the rim slightly less over the past 5-6 years. That is the Steel Force roller coaster in Allentown. Straight down, drop. I'm not going to disagree that he's shooting more floaters, but this dude doesn't get to the rim. He gave it up. Not a thing. That said, he's the number 9 play in the boom bust tool, and he looks exceptional. Do I think Jones is a good play? Yeah, maybe. We kind of just need to know if anybody else is going to be out, but we could be looking at Amir Coffey, Derek Jones, Bogdan Bogdanovic. We need to know if there's anybody else other than Kawhi. Now, on the Miami side, very difficult defensive matchup on the opposite end. Pace down spot for Miami. Highest owned guy for the Heat, 6% owned Andrew Wiggins. They actually have everybody available, except for Alec Burks, who is questionable. There's nobody out that's normally in. They have full availability. They look awful. You can play Bam, Hero, Wiggins, Khalil Ware. That's it. Damn right, Travis. I don't know how you prioritize anything for Miami. Bam, Hero, Wiggins are always in play. Sort of like what I talked about earlier. You get those guys that are north of 15% boom, and you're allowed to click those names. They just won't be priorities. They just won't be priorities. Can't imagine anybody likes much on the Heat. Mitchell, I'm going to hit you with this again, but they actually have been a little bit better. It depends where you want to draw the line, but they've been a positive net rating team over like the last 2 weeks. They were basically neutral for a while. They had that stretch in December where they were really good, and then once Butler sort of gave it up, they've actually been better than when they were in that final stretch when Butler was either not playing or suspended or whatever. Which makes sense. You take Butler off when he's suspended, you don't have anybody to fill it. You take Butler off when he's traded, and you have Andrew Wiggins to fix it. You get other guys into the rotation. But yeah, I mean, like they're also just not like an interesting team. They're average. All right. I don't have anything else to add for Miami, so let's get to the final game. We're not going to be able to talk about Dallas at all right now. Mavs, 5.5-point dogs in San Antonio, 237 total. So you guys are well aware now that Dallas is a pain in the ass. And today is no different. Dante Exum, questionable. PJ Washington, questionable. Brandon Williams, questionable. No Omax, no Kai, no Jaden Hardy. Everybody else that's normally been out is out. They can have 10 guys today if everybody's in. I don't think Brandon Williams is going to play. Normally, when you leave games with muscle injuries, and you miss that now, you're probably not playing for a week or two. So I don't expect Brandon Williams to play, but he's in right now because we have no idea. PJ Washington, maybe. Don't know how limited he's going to be. He's missed a ton of time lately. Exum Q tag. I felt pretty good about him not being able to get extra minutes in that last game. He didn't. He's questionable today. I think he's like a 20 to 24 guy, depending on who's in or out. We're going to have a lot of Dallas names that we can click on. We don't know who they are yet. Things could look very different if we start losing guys. Like if Brandon Williams is out, I got to redistribute 30 minutes. If Exum is out, that's 20 more. If PJ Washington still isn't ready, then we're looking a lot like we did last time out. So something's going to exist here for Dallas. Live Before Lock, I hope, is going to get some more of this news. And we're going to get more information throughout the day. I have nobody that I want to point out for Dallas yet, other than if Brandon Williams is in and starting, he will be aggressively owned. Very high level priority if Brandon Williams is in and starting again. Otherwise, we'll figure it out then, because we're going to need to know the minutes. Like $7,500 Najee Marshall's a tough sell if they have everybody available, because then not everybody has to play 38 minutes a night. So we need more information for Dallas, but they're still weird. Don't forget it. Final game of the slate, San Antonio Spurs. Q-tag Jeremy Sohan. Q-tag Devin Vassell. 35% ownership coming in to Devin Vassell. 6,100 shooting guard, small forward. He's been playing 35 minutes a night. Completely agree with the ownership. We got him 39% optimal. If Vassell is in, he looks amazing because of his price, position, and minutes. But he might also just not play. And that would take a guy that's 30% owned and remove him from this slate. It would be a major change. Keldon Johnson is projected for 25% ownership. He'll look more interesting if one of Vassell or Sohan are out. Even if they're in, I think he's still pretty interesting at that price tag. Fantasy point per minute guy, playing 25 minutes a night. Quality value option. Fox is fine, but underwhelming. Chris Paul's minutes have been limited a little bit lately. He's playing like 26 a night. Castle's fine as a 5 to 10% GPP guy. Sohan, if he's in, is fine as a 5 to 10% GPP guy. But the priorities here are Keldon Johnson and Devin Vassell. We just need to know who's actually playing for San Antonio. So we might be set up for massive, well, I mean, not even might. 3 games are going to lock at 7:30. And when we're getting all of that news at the top of the hour, at the bottom of the hour, we're going to be making some heavy late swaps. You know what you're going to need to do for late swaps? You're going to need to watch playback. We've got the NHL strategy show at 2 p.m. today. I will be on the deeper dive with Spags at 5:30. Greg and Eric will be on Live Before Lock at 6:30. Greg and I will be on playback at 7:30 with the giant run-up to these 4 locking games at 8 o'clock. We'll have ownership, late swaps, bets, news, all of that stuff. 3 hours of coverage tonight, and you don't want to miss it. This is the kind of slate where you need to be around for that hour before lock and that half hour after 7:30. Mitchell, there's no chance that KD is going to the Mavs next year. No chance. Straight zero. Slate's in the books too, by the way, so hit that like button. But yeah, there's no chance that Kevin Durant will be on the Mavs. I might even set that at negative percentage points. That would make the most sense to me. Negative 10% chance. Just not possible. Well, there we go. 7 up, 7 down. I love this slate. It's going to be a mess. I wish there was more late swap opportunities just because that would be better for me, but we got a lot to look at today. Fun slate, lots of news, weird plays. It's going to be a good Wednesday, guys. So hit that like button if you haven't done it yet. Sign up for Portfolio EV. Link in the description. Whatever you're looking for, guys, if you want to sign up, you can get a free month of Stokastic or OddsShopper. I'm going to go record contenders, cut some videos, put some content out. I wish you guys the best of luck. I'll see you on the deeper dive.